Howdy. Yeah, that's right. Back to this, again. I'm a fucking cowboy, aiming to practice the law on his own fucking terms. If any lawyer wants to try and say that I'm not practicing the law correctly, well then, let's get some public litigation going, motherfucker, before a justice of the peace. That's what the shit I'm saying. I want an open, fair trial in open fucking court. Okay? You want to accuse me of some shit? Bring some criminal fucking charges. Don't fuck around with your bullshit, out of order, and already about to be struck down on the basis of the Charter Mental Health Act. Because anybody with a brain in their head knows it's full of shit. Now, I got some statements to that prick lawyer, the only person that has passed the bar that sits on the Consent to Capacity Board. The first thing I'm going to state is that I legally carry a knife on my person, openly displayed at all fucking times. If you want to challenge that in court, you can go ahead and do so. However, you will notice this is the exact same knife that these false accusations of threats were based upon. You know why I carry a knife on my person? Because I have the right to. And God forbid society starts to break down and my rights are no longer being protected. You know, like some situation where, say, some seedy criminal wants to push for some shit that they're not supposed to. Well, you have a right to defend yourself in those circumstances. So all of my aggressive behavior while I was being illegally confined in the fascist gulag that is Cam H is legitimately legal resistance to tyranny. Note the graffiti on my wall in the cell that I was placed. Now I'm going to speak openly about some allegations about this prick lawyer that sits on the Consent to Capacity Board. And I don't care if you try and fucking sue me, go right the fuck ahead. But again, that litigation is argued in open fucking court, before a justice of the peace. Because what I'm accusing this prick, who's supposedly associated with Porian law of doing, is passing the bar and then believing that somehow, by virtue of passing the bar, he is able to break the law and get away with it. You are not above the law. I'm not above the law. No one is above the law. That's how the law works. That's exactly what's wrong with the Mental Health Act. Psychiatrists and nursing staff act in a capacity outside of the law. So Mr. Prick Lawyer that sits on the board, you might not like my tone with you, but I'm really glad that that hearing and that deposition was audio recorded, because your stupid hand gestures don't control the record no more. And I know those types of legal shenanigans and games that go on because my grandfather was a Supreme Court justice on the Alberta bench. I know the law inside out and backwards. Do you? Probably not. Because now I'm going to accuse you of a conflict of interest. Yeah, there are serious allegations against you, and I would like to see criminal charges pressed. However, I don't have the power to do that. So instead, I'm trying you in the open courts. You want to hit me with slander? Go ahead. Because it's not slander if it's true, is it? Now, as far as I understand it, you had an articling student working at your firm of Porian Law. And as far as I understand, her name is Elizabeth A. Mullock. And as far as I understand it, She graduated Osgood Hall. And as far as I understand it, she was 3 months away from completing her articling. And as far as I understand it, your firm has deliberately poor cyber security. And as far as I understand it, there were some illegal shenanigans going on with Miss Mullock via the internet in regards to your firm. And as far as I understand it, Miss Mullock was then falsely arrested and illegally detained in this gulag in some twisted attempt to try and protect your image. The idea that you are an upstanding citizen. Yes, I'm calling that into question, based off of our interaction in that hearing, very quickly. I deal with criminals all the time. You smell. I can smell you. Are you really a criminal? Are you not really a criminal? We'll see what a judge decides. But I'm going to say this. If you attempted in any way, or any of your agents in any way, attempted to sit at the capacity board hearing, deciding the case of Miss Mullock's capacity to consent, that is a conflict of interest and grounds for disbarment. Now, if there was some type of misunderstanding here, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. You'll notice, I don't mince words, I choose them very fucking carefully. Oh, he dropped an F-bomb. Guess what? This is the court of public opinion. Ha ha! Now, Miss Mullock is facing very real legal consequences to her physical person, based off of these, what I'm going to assume, are trumped up and baseless allegations. That Miss Mullock is somehow incapable of understanding the law or what's going on around her. The only thing I would say Miss Mullock is incapable of is realizing that once people pass the bar, they may or may not necessarily be obeying the law. Naive articling student, about to get sentenced to electroshock therapy. I use that term therapy in quotes, because we all know that's torture. And guess what? If these allegations are true, this does constitute a criminal conspiracy in which Porian law would be involved. I'm almost certain if Miss Mullock were not being tortured day and night, she would be able to prove these allegations in open court very easily with support staff and a legal team behind her. Miss Mullock, apologies. Give me a mulligan, it's a do-over. Golfing buddies. Miss Mullock will prevail, even if your stupid kangaroo court rules against it. Because I got a mouth so big that I ain't gonna let that shit happen to my friend. Now, there are legal declarations that have been signed by patients. This is a case that will be blown wide open, and I'm well aware that the media is gonna hum and haw about what it should or shouldn't share, and that's the media's place to decide, for sure. But I am making these allegations openly in public as a sane and rational person. And the very interesting fact is that I am aware that I still have a hearing to decide whether or not I'm capable of making decisions for myself on Tuesday. And the very interesting thing about my hearing that happened, I believe it was Thursday, was this. Me and this prick lawyer, supposedly from Porian Law, when I pulled some of my legal wrangling, to try and defend myself and represent myself before the consent to capacity board, me and the lawyer were the only two in the room that actually understood the law enough to understand the legal wrangling and maneuvering that was taking place. So, you want to try and say that I'm not an expert in canon law? You're welcome to go ahead and make those accusations. You see, I honor, uphold, and sustain the law, including the Official Secrets Act. Now, I've openly stated this many times that I have knowledge of classified information, and I have the balls big enough to talk about it without running off to Russia or Hong Kong like an Edward Snowden. Haha! You see, I've spent 10 years working on this case. Man. So I don't care if you think I'm crackers or bananas. I have the right to be weird and strange. I am, after all, only an eccentric comedian. I'm really just a queer Mormon priest. I'm just trying to help the world get along. I mean, can't we all just get along for a while? I think what we should do is maybe call into question Law Society of Canada. Maybe there needs to be a little bit of Well, I'll let the Law Society decide. Because unlike psychiatrists, not all lawyers are crooks. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another legal rant from the legal cowboy, Thomas Zog, Esquire. You want to debate that shit? Again, sue me. Let's try this shit in court, motherfucker. Oh. Are you thinking I'm afraid of jail time? Please. 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 I know how to dance in jail. You know where I learned how to dance in jail? The Funny Farm. I'm able to make friends with just about anybody, because I'm a pretty good judge of character. So, if anybody else wants to make apologies to me in private or over Facebook messages for pieces of misinformation they believed or things that they actively did, you know, I'm aware that this is a fascist nation, and I have bigger fish to fry than whatever personal beef you think you might have with me. I am a political activist with an agenda first. So, that's who I am. I don't know what the fuck else you need to know, but you wanna press criminal charges? Go ahead and do so. I'll even turn myself in to the police if you're able, you know, to convince some justice of the peace that I've done something illegal. You know, I'll more than happy to fight it in litigation. You know, I'm not afraid of my actions. I'm not afraid of anything I've done. What I'm afraid of is being detained in Cam H. What I'm afraid of is the public not giving a shit about all the other people being tortured. Because that's what Cam H is. It's a torture facility. And, you know, in America, they got the FEMA camps. In Canada, they never really needed FEMA camps. They always had mental hospitals. And a population that was very easy to manipulate and control with their manners. And, you know, fellow Canadians, you have no right to say that I'm not a Canadian. I'm probably more of a Canadian than any prick in Toronto. No, I'm just kidding. You see, I think a lot of people that live in my wonderful city of Toronto think that Toronto is representative of how the rest of Canada is. And frankly, it isn't. Toronto is only representative of Toronto, and it's a world-class city. But Canada, the country, is much bigger than the city of Toronto. And I got to know it intimately as a hitchhiker and a busker. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Ciao.